All right, so let's take a look now at the ovarian cycle. So this is a monthly cycle of follicle development, ovulation, and then corpus luteum formation in the ovary. So let's look at the first phase, which is called the follicular phase. So this is a period of follicle growth. So this is days 1 through 14. And this is caused by the release of a hormone called follicle stimulating hormone out of the anterior pituitary gland. So we're going to start off with primordial follicles, which are here on the edges here. And these primordial follicles have a primary oocyte in them and then some small little follicle cells around them. All right? And so what follicle stimulating hormone does is it's going to cause the oocyte to enlarge and also for those primary those follicle cells to enlarge as well. So those follicle cells are going to continue to grow and divide, and now when we have two layers of them, we call those granulosa cells. So next is that cells from the ovary itself are going to grow around the follicle, and that's what we see on this picture here. All right, and those are called thecal cells. And those thecal cells and granulosa cells are going to produce estrogen. All right, and we'll talk about what estrogen does in the menstrual cycle. So the granulosa cells are also going to produce this thing here, which you see in white, and that's known as the Zona Pellucida. So this is a clear carbohydrate protein complex that surrounds the oocyte. And so after the first sperm gets in there to cause fertilization, this will harden to prevent other sperm from entering. Because what we want is 46 chromosomes. We get 69 chromosomes or anything higher in there, it won't develop properly. So then next is a clear fluid accumulates between the granulosa cells, and this forms what is known as an antrum. And by the time we're here, now this structure is known as a secondary follicle. All right? So that antrum will expand here, and that will isolate the oocyte, as we see right there. All right? So it isolates the oocyte in what is known as a cumulus oophorus, and those are the cells that are around that oocyte. All right? And at this point, now we have a mature follicle with a secondary oocyte in it, and it's ready, that secondary oocyte is ready to leave the ovary. Now, what I do want to point out here is several of these primordial follicles will begin this maturation process, but only the most mature follicle will actually do the second part, and that's known as ovulation. So in ovulation, that's a release of a secondary oocyte from the ovary. And that's caused by another hormone called luteinizing hormone. So its levels will spike, causing the release of that secondary oocyte from the ovary. All right? So once again, luteinizing hormone is secreted by the anterior pituitary gland. So the secondary oocyte and those surrounding cells are ovulated. Now those cells are called the corona radiata. All right? And as I said, several of these will begin to mature, but only the most mature follicle releases its oocyte. Next, what happens here is the luteal phase, and this is a period of corpus luteum activity. So that's this structure here called the corpus luteum, which literally means yellow body. Yellow body. All right? So after ovulation, that follicle forms the corpus luteum. So the follicle that ovulated its oocyte will form that structure, the corpus luteum. So, and this, once again, is caused by the secretion of luteinizing hormone. So, the corpus luteum will continue to secrete estrogen and now progesterone, all right? And the thing about estrogen and progesterone is they're going to inhibit follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. So, if fertilization occurs, that corpus luteum will persist until the placenta starts to secrete estrogen and progesterone. If there is no fertilization, as luteinizing hormone levels drop because estrogen and progesterone levels are going up, luteinizing hormone is necessary to maintain corpus luteum activity. So as luteinizing hormone levels go up, as estrogen and progesterone goes up, those luteinizing hormone levels will cause, those lower luteinizing hormone levels will cause a degeneration of the corpus luteum, all right? And so this is going to end the cycle of the corpus luteum. And now it's called the corpus albicans, what that thing is. And so this will then cause estrogen and progesterone levels to decrease. And this will end the cycle because now follicle stimulating hormone levels can go back up. And we start that process over again.